Guys.
How you doing, Darren?
Good, man. How are you?
Good. Are you in a snazzy little office over there or what?
I am. We just moved the What's a Mortgage headquarters over to a new office in Newport Beach.
Nice. Looks awesome.
Literally, today's my first day here. Yeah,
Nice. Well, thanks for hopping on here, man. I appreciate it.
of course, of course. Thanks for having me.
Of course, to all our hundreds and thousands of followers, this is my good friend Darren Tsai, and he and I played volleyball together at UC Santa Cruz.
Yep.
Stud muffin, libero. Were you like all American, all country, all worlds, or what? I don't even remember. You had all the
Yeah,
awards.
I don't know about all that. I think it was, yeah, maybe All Earth my senior year. That might have been it. Yeah, I think so.
I love that. All planet. But yeah, now you're doing real estate stuff.
Mhm.
You're in the mortgage world as well. You're both an agent and a mortgage broker, right?
Correct. So I am licensed as an agent, but I'm very familiar with the contracts. I spent the last 3 years as an agent, but most recently, this past year, shifted my business towards mortgage and loan origination. So
Great. So you're kind of focusing more on that now,
hmm
and
hmm
okay,
So I worked with What's a Mortgage, Min Win and his team. They've been in the mortgage game for about 30 years. They spent the last 7 really just focusing on social media and mortgage education. Number one mortgage education in social media,
awesome.
if you go to their page. And so I worked with them as an agent, and I really loved what they were doing and building. And so then I just made the switch over and joined their team.
I love following that stuff. It's so fun that you guys put like a funny twist on some stuff and some really good insight and education on the mortgage side of things, which really
Yeah.
honestly is there's a lot of question marks about it. I think you're the perfect guy to just have a chat to when we're doing our transactions. There's a lot of questions around the loan side, how it works. So I just kind of wanted to have a conversation with you, kind of get your insight and your opinion on some things, what's going on in the market.
hmm
And also just more so just kind of catch up and have a conversation about what the real estate market's up to right now. I know you're in Orange County, I'm in San Diego, but the mortgage rates are just a very interesting topic nowadays.
Oh yeah, huge, huge.
Uh,
Recently, and I think this is something that kind of there's a lot of misinformation about it. There is obviously the Fed raised rates yesterday, and everyone thinks that has like a direct correlation to mortgage rates.
mhm.
So I just want to clarify that, anyone that does follow the Fed fund rate, that is for short-term debt. So if you're looking at 30-year fixed, we're actually following 2 other things. We're following inflation and the 10-year treasury. The Fed funds rate has an impact on credit card and short-term like ARMs,
Mhm.
so it will affect those rates. But yeah,
Yeah,
overall,
that's a great distinction because I know a lot of people, they don't necessarily understand the correlation between the two. But I mean, what can you tell us, in your opinion, when the Fed rate does raise its rate or lower its rate, how does that affect a home buyer, if at all?
it definitely could affect them because their regular consumer debt is now more expensive
Hmm.
potentially, right? So it might not affect them in terms of like the mortgage rate, but the cost of other things is going to be higher, right? The cost
Yeah,
of borrowing in general is going to be higher. So that will put some stress on your personal budget, right?
right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So my first question is really, um, say I'm a first time buyer, and
hmm
just very simple. Like, say I'm working with an agent, I'm looking for houses. What are some things that you can recommend to put me in a good spot as I'm getting prepared to, maybe I'm not like making an offer tomorrow, but I know in the
hmm
next 3, 6, 9, 12 months, I want to start making offers. What are some things that I can do to put myself in a competitive
Yeah,
situation?
that's a really good question. And I would say um, 90% of my calls are with people just coming up with a game plan. So that's exactly what you kind of hit on. People that are looking to buy, maybe not in the next month, 2 months, 3 months, they're looking in 6 months, 9 months, a year, 2 years even. The first thing is educate yourself, right? You're about to
Mm-hmm.
make a massive financial decision for you and your
Yeah.
family. It's probably going to be the largest purchase of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And knowledge is power. So the first thing is educate yourself. And then figure out what loan product's going to be the right fit for you.
Mm-hmm.
And you really can't do that without getting some knowledge about it. I would say first follow our channel, What's a Mortgage? A lot of people that I've talked to, I think someone was just in here. His name is Martin. Shout out Martin. He just closed on his first home. He'd been
Yeah,
following
Martin.
he'd been following the channel for 2 years.
Nice.
And it was just great working with him because he kind of knew. And then our biggest thing is just trying to empower the consumer. So we're making sure people are educated. So, looking at the three main things: credit, income, and assets. And then, maybe you can speak to this, but how often do you go out shopping with clients and they're looking at homes that they really can't afford?
Mm-hmm.
They fall in love with these homes and they really don't have an idea of the right budget.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
So,
that changes, that could change on a weekly or monthly basis based on what's going on with rates or whatever it might be. So yeah, that's huge. Empower yourself, chat to a mortgage broker. I always think it's great just
of
to,
course,
hit up Darren or hit up a buddy and ask him questions. What does this mean? What does it mean to, buy some points, buy that mortgage down a little bit and pay a couple of points? What are closing costs going to be? I just think the
absolutely.
more knowledge going into it, the better. And then as a team, we can kind of come in on this thing and be prepared. On that note, what are some things that you've seen that are kind of like no-nos as your first-time buyer, or maybe even not a first-time buyer, but what are some red flags or some things that you should stay away from when you're kind of going into this?
Ooh, that's a loaded question, Bryce. It's a loaded question. What things to avoid? I would just say large monthly payments. So to put that in perspective, a $400 car payment will lose you about $50,000 in purchasing power on average.
Wow. Okay.
So you'll see people that have wonderful income. They make tons of money every year, but their monthly liabilities that have, expenses attached to them. So let's just talk about this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your personal loans, your student loans, if you have child support, student debt, and car payments. Those car payments, if you have $1,000 car payment, hopefully you're making tons of money because that will hurt your purchasing power quite a bit. Another thing too is a lot of people, true story, this happened to me. I monitor my credit. I usually have around a 780 credit score. I had a collection on there that I didn't know about.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
a little bit about me. I flip properties and I had a utilities bill in my name that I thought I paid and I didn't. And so luckily I do have credit monitoring, and it's free through an app that we have called, the Wham wallet. And it just does a soft credit check. There's no hard inquiry, but it alerted me once I got dinged like 60 points on my credit.
Mm-hmm.
And so just staying on top of your credit history, and really, having those tools available, and those are free tools,
Yeah, that's huge, man. That's interesting. No, I worked with a client who had a very similar thing, and they didn't even know. Same thing. They didn't even know, and ultimately they ended up having to put more down to get the rate that they wanted to be able to get, and it kind of it wasn't. I mean, it all ended up kind of working out. But if they would have had maybe an app like that would have alerted them, they could have got on it sooner and maybe saved themselves some money on the down payment side of things. But that's interesting that it happened to you. I guess it can happen to anybody.
It happens to all of us, man. I mean,
yeah.
But that's a great part about like the technology that we have these days. There's so many free like credit monitoring apps. There's so many budgeting apps. The biggest thing I would say is just get in front of that stuff, right? I mean, buying a home can be and is usually pretty overwhelming for most people, right? First time buyers, there's a lot of paperwork. There's a lot of things that are unknown. So I would say the more you can plan and get ahead of that and be prepared, then you'll have a better home buying process, right? If you can get in front of the financial stuff ahead of time and kind of take that out of the equation when you're home shopping, the home shopping will just be much more enjoyable, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got a couple other good questions for you, but I want to kind of take a quick step to the side and just on a personal level. You're a dad now, right?
Yeah, I have 2 kids now.
You're a double dad.
Yeah, 2 little girls, man.
That's amazing. How's the dad life? I follow you on the newsletter and everything, but how's the family going?
Dude, it's tiring because we have a newborn. You know, just thought we were hitting our stride with our first kid. Thought we had some things figured out, but it's always changing. It's always evolving, but it's so much fun, man. Yeah.
How do you juggle like the family life, the dad life, and also, you got a lot of cool stuff going. You're building ADUs, you're flipping houses, you're doing loans. Like, how do you juggle it all? Because you seem like you're on top of your game.
Just kind of surround yourself with great people, like
great
my wife.
People, and yeah, there you go.
She's a rock star. She handles all the child stuff. And so like on a personal level, we decided probably like 3 or 4 years ago that we kind of each had our lanes. And so like I'm in charge of like the investment lane, right? She's in charge of like the baby stuff, the child lane. So she takes full ownership of it and she leads it. I just follow. I'm here for the ride. I'm here to support her. I'm here to help do what she needs with the kids. But that's really helped us find clarity in our life and alignment in many different aspects.
I love it. The dynamic duo.
Yeah. And then
do you drink coffee?
Do I drink coffee? Yeah, I drink a lot of coffee. I think most of us do, right?
I'm saving mine until we have our first kids. I'm like saving that coffee chapter until I really, got to tap into the caffeine.
I usually limit it to two coffee drinks a day, though. So I'm usually up at like 5 to 5:30, depending on when the first daughter wakes up, and then I spend the morning with her. And then obviously the What's a Mortgage team, they're great. They provide a ton of support. And then for the flipping stuff, I have a partner. So, I rely on him too. So
beautiful.
like I said, great people.
That's amazing. So stepping back into this, what would it look like if I was a first-time home buyer and I were to work, maybe I'm working with Bryce and Chloe, we're getting going on making some offers. What would that process look like if I were to work with you and your team as on the loans side of things? Like, are you guys walking me through things? What am I submitting to you? What do you need from me? Just like, there's a lot of question marks around that side of the deal. So could you just kind of briefly walk us through what that looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to. And this is actually a great question because this is something that we're always working on. We're always working on having a really friendly process, right? It doesn't want to feel like an interrogation with a client, but sometimes that's what it kind of is, right? Because we're trying to verify that they can qualify for a home, right? And so we ask a long string of questions, but we try to make it in a very conversational way, right? And our process is typically, we have an introduction call. It's really just to get to know each other, right? Get to know the client, let them get to know about us. And we kind of go over first, like the high level, how to qualify for a mortgage, what we're looking at. And when you ask for like, hey, what kind of docs are we asking for? It varies. It varies depending on if they're self-employed, what their employment status is, what their immigration status is, if, what kind of program they're looking to get into as well. And then from there, depending on the scenario, we'll send an email loan application. They'll submit everything, and we'll review that together. So typically, we set up a video call. We after the intro call, it's a video call after I reviewed like the documents and stuff. And this is even for people that are buying 2 years from now. Set up a video call and come up with a game plan. And the video call is so we can build a little bit of rapport. It's nice to see a face, but then also I share my screen with them. And I show them, hey, this is kind of how interest rates look. This is kind of the cost of those interest rates. And this is the budget that we're looking at, right? Because most of the time, people are also getting qualified for a monthly payment that it's higher than their personal budget, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we go over those numbers together in detail. And so I think that's actually a big differentiation point between us and a lot of other lenders. Based on a lot of conversations that I have with people, they don't really get walked through a lot of stuff. It's typically like, hey, Bryce, you want a pre-approval? Send me all this stuff, and here's a number.
Mm-hmm. So you guys kind of put that personal touch and just as more of a relationship than just like an algorithm type of thing.
100%, man. 100%. That. There's actually a client that I'm talking to right now. He's buying a new build in Texas, and he said he's been talking to his loan officer for 4 or 5 months, and he was like, dude, every time I call this guy, he asks who I am. He's like, I've talked to you one time, and you saved my number. You addressed me as a person. I'm like, that actually like makes me sad. Like that's sad.
That's so funny you say that, because I had a similar experience where like he just could not get even my name as the agent correct. I'm like, okay, we definitely gotta make some adjustments here to make sure we're working with the right people. But no, that goes a long way. And one question, this is maybe just in general, and I maybe have one or two more, and I know you got some stuff to get back to, and we appreciate your time, but why, as a first-time buyer, or maybe second or third-time buyer, why should I work with a loan originator or mortgage broker like yourself, rather than just going to the bank and just, going to Chase or Washington Mutual? Or I know there's pros and cons of both, but like a lot of times I get asked, like, why do I need to talk to a mortgage broker?
That's a great question.
So I thought you'd be able to touch on that and give us some of those highlights.
Yeah. So let's just talk about the differences between a mortgage broker and a bank. So a bank is lending out their own money. So once you enter into a mortgage with a bank, that is part of their portfolio. And this is a true story. One of our good friends, I'm not going to say who he is, 'cause I don't know if he wants to mention, but we played college volleyball with him as well. He recently bought a home in Escondido, San Diego County, and I found him a better deal than I could provide on the loan. So a good mortgage broker will, if they're going to tell you the truth and they're really looking out for your best interests, they're going to have all the resources for you. And what I mean by that is, we have relationships with banks, because banks will offer better rates and basically better products on certain types of loans. Typically, we're talking about ARMs, jumbos. Some of them have niche products for their communities as well. So some of them have like down payment assistance programs that we don't offer because they're a local lender. Now, a good mortgage broker will be able to tell you, hey, these are the products that I'm very, very competitive on, and I will give you the best rate, best service. And here's the products that I'm not so competitive on, and they'll give you alternatives. So he really actually wanted to have me service his loan, but I told him, like, hey, my partner over here at US Bank, we're going to be saving you $300,000 to $400,000 of interest over the life of the loan. And I care about that relationship more than making a few $1,000s.
That's a good friend.
Yeah. Well, he's going to send me all his other business, and that's what this is about, right? Relationships and taking care of people.
I love that. Yeah, I think having that full picture, you're working with a pro, you're working with someone who does this day in and day out. They know what they can get. They know what they can't get.
Right.
And ultimately, hopefully, you establish a relationship, whether that's with Darren or whether that's with someone that that you can connect, and you can kind of have that honest, transparent relationship. And I think having a mortgage broker on your team is such a huge asset when you're buying a house, and just having the full picture.
Yeah. Right. It's like the same thing for a real estate agent. It's like, they could use an agent that is not from San Diego to represent them, but is that agent really going to know the neighborhoods, what's going on, what kind of developments are happening, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. I think I just have one more question for you. And if you have anything for me as well, you're welcome to hit me with it. But This is kind of a tricky one, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, but everyone, I'm just curious in general what your take on the current market is. A lot of people are waiting for a crash. A lot of people are waiting for a plateau. A lot of people are waiting for the interest rates to drop. Um, and I'm just curious what your thought is. Like, as a buyer, are you waiting? Are you getting after it? What like in general, where do you kind of stand on that? And where do you think like what do you think the future holds of Southern California or the market in general?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. So I hate to kind of give a vague answer, but it is it's very city and county dependent, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you tell me, Bryce, you're out here writing offers. Are you seeing multiple offers, or are you seeing sellers really just giving concessions and you're seeing homes sit on the market?
So in San Diego, I mean, obviously, like you said, every place is a little bit different, but there's still such little inventory that
Disconnected.
oh, we're back.
Yeah.
In San
Sorry about
Diego,
that.
no, that's all good. In San Diego, there's still such little inventory that honestly, there's still multiple offer scenarios. You know, you have to be competitive when you come in with an offer.
Hmm.
Sometimes people are still, you know, shortening contingency timelines. Sometimes people are dropping a couple contingencies because even though mortgage rates are high-ish than they were like a year or two ago or three
Yeah.
ago, there's still just such low inventory, and a lot of people still want to be in San Diego. So that's what
Yeah.
we're seeing down here.
So I will give you three different cities that I have clients in currently, active, like sending offers, writing offers. The first one is San Jose.
Mm-hmm.
Multiple offers. Our clients just submitted a non-contingent offer and they did not get accepted above list.
Wow.
So that gives you, I mean, I think the type of property they're looking for, there was 4 total active properties available. So going back
Mm.
to that supply, it's very low. And then Riverside County, same thing, multiple offers, starter home, 500K around there in Riverside County. Writing active offers, multiple counters, still very competitive. And then the last one is in Orange County. Also, same thing, property on the market for one weekend. They're like, offers are due by Tuesday at 5 p.m. We already have multiple. So
Crazy.
I just think,
Crazy.
California, as much as people say it's not desirable, I still do think that we have the best weather in Southern California. We just don't have enough homes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's an interesting take, man. That's good to know. And yeah, it seems that down here things are still cooking. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see where it goes in the next couple of years for
Yeah.
sure.
So I have a question for you, because you are in San Diego and you operate an Airbnb management company. There's a bunch of like Airbnb articles saying, Airbnb is going down, and all these Airbnb owner operators are going to have to sell. What are you seeing on your end? Because you operate, you manage a bunch of them, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So my wife and I run Urban Sands Vacation Rentals, where we do short-term rentals, and then we also have the arm that does long-term property management.
Okay.
And sales. On the short-term side, man, we're in like the busiest time of the year.
Yeah.
In San Diego, like mid-June to mid-August is just back-to-back slammed, and it's been amazing. It's been a full summer. It's been solid. I will say, in the last year, things have softened up a little bit, like outside of Mission Beach. I think a lot of that had to do with coming off of COVID. And, when we had that COVID year, like everyone was traveling in the country, and rates were high, and occupancy rates were high. So yeah, we have maybe softened up, but I would say overall, our clients and investors are very happy with the returns that they're still getting. So right now we're good in our market in San Diego.
Yeah.
And we'll see, you know, things ebb and flow, and sometimes you have up and downs based on what the market's doing. But right now everyone's happy, and we are in summer, so we'll see where that goes. But
Of course.
Thank you for asking, brother.
Yeah.
But yeah, this has been so fun. This makes me want to even do this with other friends and people in the industry or not in the industry.
Yeah.
This is kind of my first Instagram live, so thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule. And honestly, I feel like I hope people get to watch this because it's been super educational. And you know, guys, if you need an awesome resource, hit Darren up and at least just have a conversation to start the information flow.
Yeah, absolutely. Bryce, it's so good catching up with you, man. Thanks for having me.
Likewise, Darren. Have a good one, brother.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.